Pregnant sister demanded I give her my car because hers keeps breaking down. But when I said no, my whole family called me selfish and tried to steal it from me when I was sleeping. I, 27F, have a younger sister, Maya, 24F, who is 7 months pregnant with her first child. We've generally gotten along fine as sisters, but we're very different people. I'm more independent and practical, while Maya has always been a bit spoiled by our parents. Growing up, I was the responsible older kid and she was the baby of the family who could whine her way into getting what she wanted. It caused plenty of fights when we were kids, but as we got older I thought we'd moved past that dynamic. For context, I own a 2010 Honda Civic that I absolutely love. I bought it used after college and worked hard to pay it off. It might not be a fancy car, but I've kept up with every oil change and service, so it runs perfectly. This car is my baby, it's reliable, safe, and completely paid off, which is a big deal for me because I'm currently only working part-time. I was laid off from my full-time job last year and I'm searching for a new one, so money is tight. Not having a car payment helps a lot. I still need my car for interviews, errands, and day-to-day life. I may not have a long daily commute right now, but that doesn't mean I can just go without a vehicle. I like knowing I have my own transportation if I need it. Maya, on the other hand, drives a beat-up old Ford that our dad handed down to her years ago. It's a 2002 model and honestly it's on its last legs. She's not great about maintenance, so it breaks down pretty often. I've helped her out a few times by picking her up when she was stranded or lending her my AAA card to get it towed. It's been an ongoing thing, her complaining about what a piece of junk her car is, and our parents shelling out for yet another repair. I do feel bad that she has to deal with that, especially being pregnant now. I wouldn't want to be stuck on the side of the road at 7 months pregnant either. That said, we all knew her car's condition for a while. It's not like I sabotaged it or anything. She and her husband have been trying to save up for a better vehicle, but with a baby on the way and medical bills, money is tight for them too. I sympathize, just because I'm single with no kids doesn't mean I'm rolling in cash. I'm living pretty frugally myself at the moment. Anyway, a couple weeks ago we were at Sunday dinner at my parents' house when the issue of Maya's car came up again. She was griping about how it was in the shop yet again and then she suddenly said to me, "You know, you could just let me have your car." I kind of chuckled, thinking she had to be joking. I said, no. My car isn't up for grabs. But she was dead serious. She started arguing that pregnant women shouldn't have to drive unsafe cars, and that my Civic would be perfect for her to get to doctor appointments and eventually drive the baby around. I just told her, absolutely not. This is my car, I need it, and I'm not giving it away. Maya immediately got huffy and our mom jumped in, saying, "You hardly even drive these days, honey. You work part-time and only go out for a few errands. Maya needs it more than you do right now." I told them it doesn't matter, it's my car that I paid for, and we're not just handing around cars based on who needs it at any given moment. I pointed out that just because I'm not commuting daily doesn't mean I can manage without a car. Then my sister's husband chimed in, he was at dinner too, and said that for the baby's sake, maybe I could reconsider. He even offered to let me borrow Maya's old junker whenever I really needed a car, which made me laugh out loud at how absurd that was. I said, "No. I'm sorry you're having car trouble, but giving you my car is not happening." Maya burst into tears, saying I don't understand how scary it is to be pregnant and worried about driving an unsafe car. She wailed, "If you really loved your nephew, you'd want me to have a safe vehicle for him." She knows she's having a boy. That comment pissed me off. Of course I care about my future nephew, but trying to guilt me like that was outrageous. I told her, "Your baby's safety is your responsibility. I'll drive you or lend you my car in an emergency, but I am not handing it over to you permanently." That set everyone off. My mom said I was being selfish. She brought up that I'm the one who's single with no dependents, while Maya is starting a family and needs support. Dad mostly stayed quiet, but he was clearly backing them up, shaking his head at me. I said, "Supporting her is one thing, but you're asking me to literally give up my car. That's too much. You're expecting me to put my life on hold because she decided to have a baby. No, I'm not doing that." Dinner ended pretty awkwardly after that. I left with them all glaring at me like I'd kicked a puppy. Honestly, I did feel a little guilty because they had me half convinced I was being a bad sister. But I also knew how insane their demand was. I vented to a friend later and she assured me I was not crazy for refusing. I thought that was the end of it, just an ugly family argument that would blow over. I was wrong. Fast forward to last week, I'm sleeping in on Saturday morning when I'm startled awake by the sound of a truck engine and clanking metal outside. I look out my window and see my dad's pickup truck backed into my driveway, with a car hauler attached. My heart about stopped. I threw on some clothes and ran outside, adrenaline pumping. Sure enough, my dad and mom were in my driveway, and dad was in the process of hooking my Honda up to the car hauler. They all froze when they saw me come sprinting out yelling, "What the hell are you doing?" My mom hurried toward me with her hands up like she was trying to calm a wild animal. "Sweetie, please, just listen," she started, but I was already dialing 911. I yelled that if they didn't unhook my car immediately, I would call the police and report a theft. Dad rushed to say, "Now, there's no need for that. We're your family, we can work this out." I marched right past my mom to where my car's front tires were partially up on the car hauler ramp. They had actually been trying to load it up while I was asleep. I started yanking at the straps they'd hooked to my car. They had it strapped by the front wheels, and I struggled to get it loose. My dad backed off, saying calm down. "We thought this would be easier." Maya was standing off to the side near the mailbox. She snapped, "We knew you wouldn't just let us do this. That's why we tried to do it the easy way." Why are you being so dramatic? I need this car. I lost it. I shouted, because it's my car. You're literally trying to steal from me. What is wrong with you people? I told my dad to move the truck and car hauler now, or I'd tell the police everything. My mom kept pleading, we thought if we came early and took it, we could talk to you afterward, once you had calmed down. That made me even angrier. They decided that since I wouldn't say yes, they'd just do it behind my back and force it on me as a done deal. My dad finally threw up his hands and muttered about me being impossible, and he went to start the truck. He clearly realized their little heist had failed. Maya, however, was not done. She got right up in my face, as much as her belly would allow, and hissed, I already told everyone you were giving me the car. Do you realize how humiliating you're making me look? It turns out my lovely sister had already told her in-laws and friends that I had gifted her my car as a surprise. Not only that, but apparently she and my mom had planned her baby shower to be at my house without even asking me. So on top of the attempted grand theft auto, I find out they'd been planning to throw a shower at my place where I'd supposedly present the car to her as a grand gift. I told Maya she needed to tell everyone the truth immediately, that I never agreed to give her my car, and that the shower was not happening at my house. She started crying again, yelling that I was ruining everything and making her look bad to her in-laws. She whined, they're going to think I'm a liar, or that my own family doesn't care about my baby. I just said, well, you dug this hole yourself by lying. By now my mom had come back over and was trying to console Maya, who was bawling dramatically. Mom glared at me and said, couldn't you just go along with it for your sister's sake? We can sort out the details later. She's pregnant and stressed. At least let her have the shower here so things look positive. I told her absolutely not. I wasn't going to lie to a bunch of people and pretend I was happily giving away my car. And I sure as hell wasn't hosting a party that I hadn't even agreed to. Dad honked the truck horn at that point and yelled that it was time to go. He looked pretty annoyed, whether at me or the situation, who knows. Mom gave me a look of disgust and said, we'll talk about this later, and ushered the still sobbing Maya into the truck. They finally left, mercifully without my car. I was left standing in my driveway, furious, watching them drive off. I cannot believe they actually showed up with a damn car hauler at the crack of dawn to try and steal my car. Later that day, I started getting flooded with texts from extended family members. Apparently, Maya had spread a story that she asked for the car and I exploded on her, and poor pregnant her had to leave my house in tears because I was so mean. My parents are fully on her side. They're saying I should do whatever I can to support my sister during this stressful time and that I'm making a big deal over nothing because it's just a car and I can get another later. To me, it's not just a car, it's my car and it represents my independence and security, especially given my own shaky finances right now. I feel completely betrayed and livid. But with my whole family piling on and calling me selfish, I have started to question myself a bit. They're all acting like I'm a monster who doesn't care about my future nephew. That's not true at all, I just don't think I should be expected to give up my vehicle. So Reddit, am I the asshole for refusing to give my pregnant sister my car because she needs it more than me? Update 1. I didn't think things could get crazier, but they did. Thank you to everyone for your supportive comments on the original post, it really helped strengthen my resolve. It's only been a few days, and guess what, my sister ended up taking my car and I'm currently trying to deal with the fallout. Here's what happened. I had a feeling after the previous incident that Maya and my parents might try something else, so I was being cautious. I even started parking my car at a friend's house overnight, just in case. But I can't predict every trick. Yesterday my mom called me, acting all sweet and apologetic. She said the car hauler stunt had been a misunderstanding and asked if I could come over to their house so we could talk it out calmly as a family. I was skeptical, but I also didn't want this rift to keep growing, so I stupidly agreed. I drove over to my parents' place in my Civic early that evening. When I arrived, it was just Mom and Maya home. Dad was supposedly working late. I went inside, and things seemed normal at first. We actually sat down and had dinner. It was awkward but civil, and I started to relax a little, thinking maybe this was an olive branch. After dinner, Mom said she had some baby items she wanted me to see in the garage, and asked if I could help carry a couple boxes out to Maya's car. I figured sure, no harm in helping with that. I followed her to the garage and picked up one of the boxes. I carried it out the front door. And that's when I heard my Civic's engine start up. I ran out to the driveway and saw my car reversing out, with Maya behind the wheel. For a second I just froze in shock, then I started shouting. I must have looked ridiculous chasing after the car on foot. She didn't stop, she backed into the street. As she began to drive off, she rolled down the window and yelled, "Thanks for coming around, sis. I knew you'd do the right thing." Then she hit the gas and disappeared down the block. I was standing there in my parents' front yard with a stupid cardboard box in my arms. My mom came running out, babbling, "Don't worry, this is better for everyone. We'll figure out payment for the car, just please don't be mad." I yelled at her, "Are you kidding me? You lied to me to get me here." She kept insisting they'd pay me back for the car somehow and that they only did this because the baby needs to be safe. I told my mom in no uncertain terms that this was theft, plain and simple. I said, "You just helped her steal my car. That's a crime. Pregnant or not, she's not getting away with this." My mom started crying, saying I shouldn't use words like steal or crime about my own sister and that I was overreacting. She pleaded with me not to call the police. I ignored her, walked away, and immediately called an Uber to get myself home, since, my car was gone. As soon as I got back to my house, I called the police and filed a stolen vehicle report. I gave them Maya's name, description, and the probable address she'd be heading to. I also sent a message to my family group chat informing them that I had reported the car stolen and that if my car wasn't returned immediately, I would absolutely press charges. No surprise, I got no response to that, so that's where things stand. My sister essentially stole my car with my mom's help. I'm sitting here furious and anxious, waiting to hear back from the police about any updates. Update 2. Well, the situation reached a whole new level. Within hours of my last update, a lot happened very fast. The police did locate my car and pulled Maya over later that night. In fact, Maya ended up getting arrested for auto theft. She was driving on the highway toward her home when they caught up to her. From what I was told, she immediately tried to play the victim. She told the officers that I had given her the car and it was all a misunderstanding. Of course, the registration is in my name and I had reported it stolen, so that excuse didn't fly. They took her into custody. I got a call from the police asking if I wanted to press charges, and I said yes. It was hard to hear that my very pregnant sister was in handcuffs, but I felt like I had to follow through. They towed my car to an impound lot for the night, and told me I could retrieve it the next day. Then the fallout began. My mother started blowing up my phone. When I finally answered, she was screaming and crying that I got my own baby sister arrested. She screeched, "How could you do this to her? She's pregnant. The stress of this is going to put her in labor or hurt the baby." I told Mom that Maya stole from me and that I warned them exactly what would happen if they pushed me. I said the consequences were on them. Mom wasn't hearing it. She kept hysterically begging me to tell the police it was a misunderstanding or to say I won't press charges. I flat out refused. I ended up hanging up on my mom because I was not going to sit there and be guilt-tripped. A couple hours later, I get a phone call from a number I didn't recognize. I had a feeling who it was, and I was right, it was my sister calling from jail. I answered, and she was sobbing on the phone, switching between crying and then getting angry. She begged me to have mercy for the baby's sake. She sounded miserable, but I was still furious. I told her she should have thought about consequences before stealing my car. She then shifted to calling me heartless and saying I was basically risking my nephew's life over a car. At that point I just hung up on her mid-rant. I'm done with the manipulation. Later that night, my dad even drove over to my house to talk to me. I didn't let him inside. We spoke through the screen door. He was much calmer than Mom or Maya. He said he understood I was upset, but that involving the police was going too far and this has all gotten out of hand. He asked me to please try to help get Maya out of this mess and not let her record be ruined. He also kept saying, "She's learned her lesson now. You got the car back. Can't we just put this behind us as a family? For the baby?" I told him I would not drop anything. I said, "You're asking me to let it go again. Why didn't you ask her to let it go before it came to this? Why didn't we or family stop you all from betraying me in the first place?" He didn't have much to say to that, just that he was trying to keep the peace. I said it was a little late for peace. He left looking upset and said something about hoping I'd reconsider. The next morning, I picked up my car from the impound. It was thankfully not damaged, just a bit dirty and with a low fuel tank. Go figure. Maya was released from jail later that day. Her husband bailed her out. I know this because not long after, I started getting angry texts from her phone. The messages were calling me a horrible sister, a traitor, and saying I'd better sleep with one eye open because I've made enemies now. Wild stuff coming from my pregnant sister, but I have a feeling it might have been her husband or one of her friends typing that for her. Who knows? For now, I've made it clear to my family that any further communication from them should go through a lawyer or mediator, because I'm sick of being harassed. I gave a full statement to the police and I intend to follow through with charges. It's up to the prosecutor now. Honestly, it's beyond messed up that it came to this point. They backed me into a corner, and Maya brought this on herself. I'll update again if anything major happens, but I hope this is the end of the drama. I have my car back, at least.
Hey guys, real quick, I hope you're enjoying the story. Don't forget to subscribe, it would really help the page. Thanks for supporting.
I didn't expect to be back with another update so soon, but my family's absurdity knows no bounds. It's been a few days since my sister got out on bail, and instead of this dying down, they decided to ramp it up. Yesterday, Maya's husband, 26M, showed up at my house with one of his buddies. I recognize the friend from past encounters, but I don't even know his name. He's just some guy who hangs around with my brother-in-law. They knocked on my door in the afternoon. I probably should have just not answered, but I'm tired of hiding in my own home, so I went out on the porch to talk to them. Door closed behind me. Her husband was surprisingly polite at first. He said, "We all need this nonsense to stop. This is causing way too much stress for Maya and the baby." I said I agreed. I also want it to stop, and that it will stop as soon as everyone gets it through their heads that I'm not giving up my car. He tried to get me to sit down and talk it out, but I stayed standing and told him to just say whatever he came to say. He basically reiterated that the whole situation had gotten out of hand. He admitted that Maya might have gone too far, but he immediately followed it up with, "She was only doing it because she's desperate to keep our baby safe." He then asked me if we could find a compromise so that his wife and son will have a reliable car. It was the same old tune. "Won't I help out for the baby's sake?" I told him flat out that it's not my responsibility to provide them with a car. Plenty of people manage to have babies without stealing from their relatives, I said. I also pointed out that he and Maya could have handled this in 1,000 better ways. For example, they could have asked if I'd loan them some money towards a cheap used car, or even just asked to borrow my car for doctor appointments. But they never tried anything like that. They went straight to demanding and then stealing. At this point, his friend piped up with an attitude. The friend said something like, "So what's it gonna take to fix this? You want money or something? You could actually come out of this helping them and making a profit." I was pretty taken aback that this random dude was inserting himself. Her husband then actually nodded and said, "We're willing to pay you. Like, a monthly payment for the car." He suggested $200 a month for my car, as if that was generous. I could not believe they were effectively trying to buy my car now, and on a layaway plan at that. My car's market value aside, I don't want to sell it at all. I said, "Absolutely not. I'm not selling you my car, and definitely not for some $200 a month deal. I want nothing to do with this." The answer is no, in case that isn't clear. The friend got aggressive. He said I was being selfish and that $200 a month was more than fair for a car that's not even new. I told him to mind his own business, and that if he thought it was such a great deal, maybe he should lend them his car. That shut him up momentarily, and I could see he was getting really angry. Her husband then lost his calm facade and started getting frustrated. He said, "We're trying to settle this civilly and you're making it harder than it has to be. You already involved the cops and got her arrested. Don't you think you've punished her enough? Now we're just trying to make sure our baby is safe. Why are you being so damn stubborn?" That set me off. I said, "You have some nerve coming here to my home and calling me stubborn. I'm not the one who committed a crime or showed up with a truck at someone's house. I did what I had to do to get my property back. If you cared so much about civil solutions, maybe you all should have thought about that a long time ago. I am done with this conversation. Get off my property. Now." The friend stepped toward me like he was big and scary. "If anything happens to that baby, it's on you." I swear, I have never been so close to punching someone. I replied, "No, if anything happens, it's on all of you for enabling this insanity. Now get the hell off my porch." Her husband pulled his friend back and muttered, "Let's go," and they left, but not before the friend called me a crazy bitch as he walked away. I just locked my door and watched to be sure they really drove off. Then I immediately documented everything and called the non-emergency police line to report the harassment attempt, just so it's on record. Of course, I told my parents about this visit, against my better judgment. My mom scolded me for escalating things by threatening to call the cops on my brother-in-law. I told her in no uncertain terms that I am the one being harassed and threatened on my own doorstep. One small silver lining: because of the pending legal case, Maya actually isn't allowed to contact me directly right now. One of the conditions of her bail was no contact with me. So at least I don't have to deal with her calls or texts on top of this, other than the one-time messages she sent after bail, which she has now deleted. She's having others do her dirty work instead. I'm exhausted. I really hope this is the last time I have to update and that they finally back off. My sister's due date is only a couple of weeks away. You'd think they'd realize an ongoing family feud, that they started, is the last thing she needs. I've done everything I can to protect myself at this point. If they try anything else, I will not hesitate to involve the authorities again. Here's hoping they come to their senses, or at least get bored of this feud. Update 4, final update. It's been about 2 months since this whole mess began, and my nephew was born last week. I wish I could say that brought a peaceful conclusion, but instead I got one last bit of emotional blackmail from my sister. My mom sent out a mass email to announce the baby's birth, and I was, perhaps accidentally, included. Maya had a baby boy. Along with the announcement, there was a message that was clearly aimed at me. It was supposedly from Maya, and it essentially said, "Dear Op, I hope you're happy. Your nephew and I almost died because you forced me to keep driving the piece of junk car. I went into labor early from all the stress and we barely made it to the hospital when my car broke down. If my son had been hurt, or worse, it would have been on you. But don't worry, we're fine. I'll be sure to tell my son that his auntie couldn't care less about him or me." Yeah. That was the lovely note I received along with innocent pictures of the newborn. I have no idea if any of her story is true or wildly exaggerated. Knowing my sister, there's at least a kernel of truth wrapped in a thick layer of drama and lies. Maybe her crappy car did break down and she had a scary moment, or maybe it's all just fabricated to make me feel guilty. Either way, it was the final straw. That message showed me that even with a healthy baby born, my sister, and my mother, by condoning it, will continue to blame and vilify me forever if I let them. I refuse to be their scapegoat. I did not respond to the email at all. Instead, I contacted the police to make sure the charges against Maya are indeed moving forward. I also formally informed my parents that I will be going no contact with them and my sister, at least for the foreseeable future. I sent them a message stating that I need a break from the family for my own well-being, and that I will not tolerate any further harassment or guilt trips. Then I blocked all of them, except maybe my dad. I'm still mulling that one, but he's on very thin ice. Some extended relatives have since reached out to me because they heard a very skewed version of the story, painting me as some cruel villain, of course. I set the record straight with a few of them, and the truth spread quickly. Now a bunch of my relatives are furious, at my parents and at Maya. It turns out my parents conveniently left out the part where they literally tried to steal my car. Once people heard the full story, many of them have been very supportive of me. One of my aunts said she's horrified by Maya's behavior and that I had every right to call the cops on her. I'm relieved that at least a few folks now have my back and understand what really happened. I'm not sure what will happen with the legal case. I've given all my evidence and statements, and it's in the hands of the prosecutors now. With a new baby involved, who knows if they'll actually throw the book at her. Either way, it's out of my control at this point. I'm just focusing on moving forward and not letting this consume my life.